You want the facts? We want to share them with you. Together, we'll boldly unpack the deeper truths inside the real estate industry's most relevant issues. This is Getting Real with Rob. Here's your host, Rob Namfelt.
Hello and welcome to Getting Real with Rob. Today's special guest is James Scruggs, founder of Kingdom Development. Welcome, James.
Welcome, Rob.
How are you today?
Incredible. Hope you are.
I'm doing great. Well, as is the case when we start these interviews on the podcast, we start with the lightning round. I've got about a half a dozen questions. We'll go through them relatively quickly. I may ask you to embellish on a couple, but you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Let's get going. Are you a beef, seafood, or pasta guy?
Definitely seafood.
Okay. Which, you have a particular favorite?
Oh, sea bass is my number one and salmon is my number two.
Excellent. Both healthy choices, I might add.
Absolutely.
Very good. Very good. All right. Number two, what was your favorite teacher in elementary school?
Oh, definitely Mrs. Martin. She was my favorite elementary teacher.
Okay. How come? What's the most significant thing you remember about her?
She was just very passionate and she took a liking to me in the education and my growth. And I just loved her. She was just amazing.
Okay, cool. What's your favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Yeah. 2 reasons why.
Well, it's the days that I get to spend super quality time with my family and my boys. And I get to educate them on why Christmas is bigger than just a whole bunch of gifts. Mm-hmm. And when they do get their gifts, I get to see them opening up and it just smiles. And it's just an awesome day to spend time with my wife and my 2 boys and my mom and my dad and my sister.
I love that. It is great watching them open their gifts.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay. Got a 5-year-old too. I know what that's like. Let's see. Number 4. Do you have a lucky item, like a pair of socks or tie or something like that?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay. Well, good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know. I don't really either.
Yeah. Maybe one day in the future. You never know.
Mm-hmm. You never know. You see what sticks. All right. Number 5. When's the last time you went shopping for your wife?
I would say Christmas was the last time, right?
Okay. So that's a few months ago.
It was more than a few months ago, but she gets a great gift from me pretty much every day. So. That's how I look at it, Rob. That's how I look at it.
Okay. All right. That's fair. Wow. Okay, good. James has confidence. This is good. Let's see. And the last one, number 6. Do you like your bedroom dark in the morning or with lots of sunshine?
Definitely dark in the morning.
Really?
Yes.
You don't find it difficult to get up and get on that day?
I do not. During the day, I like the sunshine. I love natural light. But in the morning, because I get up early, so it's dark outside, and I'm totally fine. I like it dark when I get up.
Okay.
Yeah.
But just a quick addendum. What time do you go to bed at night?
Oh, don't laugh at me. Sometimes 8:30 and sometimes 9 o'clock.
Oh, man. I love that, actually.
Don't laugh at me. If sometimes earlier, you never know.
Yeah. If I could do that more regularly, I would. I'm right there with you, James. Good. Excellent. Well done on the lightning round. Let's get into the, as I like to say, the more meaty stuff. As we get going here, tell us about your history, kind of how you came to Charlotte, where you grew up. I think, full disclosure, we're both former New Yorkers who probably would never go back for any reason.
Absolutely.
But go ahead, tell us about you.
Yeah, so, born and raised in Long Island, New York. I left there in 95. I started my education at the University of Virginia and fell in love with the South, fell in love with UVA. And, after my first semester at UVA, I got a sad call and I never forget this. And the reason why I tell this story, because it kind of truly helped shape who I am today. But my mom called me up after my first semester. I was back at UVA. She said, "Hey, I got some bad news for you." And I said, "What happened, Mom?" And she said, "I just got this $20,000 bill in the mail." And she's like, "We can't afford it." And she was like, "You got to come back home." So I'm about to show you my sensitive side, but I cried like a baby, Rob. Mm-hmm. And I just said, "I'm not going back home." And she's like, "Well, you got a full ride to SUNY Binghamton, right? A state school, right?" And I was like, "Mom," I said, I can't. I said, "This is my school. I love it. This is where I want to graduate." So tried everything you could think of under the sun to figure out how to remain at UVA. But I finished my first year. I had to take a year off. I worked at, you probably too young to know about this place called Circuit City, Rob, but I worked at,
I bought not the last washer and dryer, but the ones before that at Circuit City in Colorado.
yeah,
actually.
right. So I worked there for a year, and I made it. For me, like I said, I didn't come from money. Clearly, that's the reason why I had to leave school for that year. But I made, like, for me, $50,000 that year working at Circuit City, selling TVs, Walkmans, and telephones. Right,
It's not bad.
and not bad at all. Right, and I was able to go from out of state tuition to in-state tuition. So I went from paying $20,000 a year to $4,000 a year. So was able to go back to UVA. I was happy. And, I was able to figure out how to get around that obstacle. And, I love children. So I always thought I was going to be a pediatrician ever since the 7th grade. And after taking that year off, I decided I didn't want to do medical school anymore. And one of my fraternity brothers said, hey, you should think about getting into investment banking. And I looked into that, I researched that, and I was like, I don't know if I want to work 100 hours a week. And he said, what about sales and trading? So I looked into sales and trading, and I was like, okay, 60 to 70. That's more my speed, right? So I ended up finishing my education at UVA, and I got my first job here at Bank of America in 2000. Started out on the training floor as an analyst, and I love what I did. It was high energy. I'm very high energy, and it was just a great fit for me. And after my first year at Bank of America, I got my first bonus, and I put it in the stock market, and it was $30,000, which was a lot of money for me, and I lost it, the whole thing. And I was like, oh man, I was like, what do I do? Because, my parents were not savers, and I wanted to be totally different than them, right? And I wanted to be able to, never get in a situation that I was in where my kids couldn't, finish school or had to take a year off. So I talked to another fraternity brother of mine, and I was like, DJ, what can I do other than, invest in stocks or bonds? And he's like, you ever thought about real estate? And I was like, no. And he said, read this book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And that book changed my life. And everything I tell you going forward, right, I'm not bragging or boasting. I'm a believer, and I hope it doesn't offend anybody. But, I worked 60, 70 hours a week at Bank of America. And then after reading that book, I bought 20 single family homes in 1 year with a full-time job. And then the next year I bought 10. So then I had 30, right? So that book truly inspired me. And then I partnered with a couple of guys, and in 2005, I bought a 35-unit apartment building. In 2006-07, we bought a 163-unit building. In 2007, I left corporate America and started my own company.
Wow. Okay. How did you, that seems pretty complicated to run all that real estate all at the same time without really having big back. How did you manage that?
Well, so off and on, I did have property managers throughout that, especially on the apartment side. So on apartments, we definitely had property managers. On the single family side, it was a combination of certain years I would manage it while I was working full time. And then I would have property managers. So it wasn't easy, but it was definitely doable.
Okay, good. Transitioning a little bit into, there seems to be kind of sort of a fundamental basis for everything you do. And it has a lot to do with faith.
Yes.
Kingdom development. That's a giveaway right there. Yes. Can you delve into that a little? To the extent you're comfortable? Can you
absolutely. So the name Kingdom inspired me because this business is it's a faith walk, right? And the goal for me and the way that I'm wired is that, the things that I do in life, it's not just for me, right? Or how much money I can make, but I'm truly focused on community in the kingdom, right? So I want to be a blessing to the Charlotte community, and I want to be able to give back to the kingdom. And that's kind of what transpired in how Kingdom Development Partners came about.
Okay. Let's talk about that a little bit, because it's when we've had discussions in the past, you've given me sort of the breakdown on how you get into a project and kind of what your set asides are and how you do that. That makes you pretty different from kind of the mainstream folks. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Let the listeners know kind of what you do when you get into a project and how that faith kind of really drives what you do.
Yeah. So, great question. And, so I started out as a market rate developer, right? And so for those who may say, what's market rate developer? So, whether it's for sale, it's, highest and best price for rent, highest and best price. But as I went along in this journey, God spoke to me and said, I want you to do something a little different, right? So we still have market rate communities, right? And our goal is go out here and to be best in class in residential space, right? So we do multifamily townhomes, single family homes. But what I'm actually getting so more passionate about is the mixed income for sale. Because, the reason why I gave you the backdrop on my journey with real estate and the single family homes is because real estate truly is what changed my life. And now through our nonprofit Ascension, in conjunction with KDP, our goal is to go out here and to develop, create, design, and build mixed income for sale communities and help people to truly become homeowners and to be able to get that first home that they own. And not only to get that first home that they own, but come in with automatic and instant equity, right? So hopefully that can be a blessing to their family and generation and generation and generation after that.
Okay. That's great. So how do you make the numbers work on that? How does that happen?
So that's another great question, right? So I think part of it is you can't be greedy, right? And when you mean by that, so it's like, any developer, any market rate developer wants to win on all the market rate deals, right? You want to get to maximize your profits on that, right? But when it comes to this social impact side or this mixed income side, right? It's more of, okay, you just have to have the right mindset and knowing that you're truly doing something to be a blessing to someone, the community. And on those deals, you're just not going to make as much, right? So you just have to have that mindset, right? So it's just a totally different mindset than saying, I want to hit a home run on my market rate deals. So on my mixed income for sale deals, it might just be a single. And I'm okay with that because I know at the end of the day, he'll say, job well done.
Mm-hmm. Well said. So it's tough to make it work, especially with costs being what they are today versus even a couple of years ago. Are there some things that could happen locally on the city side, the county side to kind of make this happen?
Absolutely. So I've already had one of my amazing mentors who I love to death, who's actually a part of Ascension, Mr. McCall, like he and I've already had meetings with Warren Wooten at the city of Charlotte. I've had an amazing call with Todd DeLong at the city of Charlotte. We're working right now on, trying to set up a meeting with Mayor Lyles because, this is what she ran on and this is what she wants to see, right. Which is, affordable communities, right? And for us, it's bigger than affordable communities, but it's mixed income communities because we truly want to be sustainable. So we are trying to, and then we're setting up our nonprofit. So, so monies can come through our nonprofit as well to kind of offset this difference, right? Because it is a huge difference. And I think the way that we are looking to do our Ascension communities is going to be different. And here's what I mean by that. And it will take even probably more subsidy. So I think it's going to be a public and private partnership, if that makes sense.
Yes.
The goal for our communities is that when you go into an Ascension community, you will not be able to tell the difference between the affordable homes and the market rate homes, right? So again, right? So it's not like we're going to dummy down and spend less on the attainable homes or the affordable homes, right? So they're going to be the same price as now they won't cost from a sales perspective the same, but from a cost perspective from building it, it would be the same exact price. So we're excited about that because we want our individuals who are part of our Ascension communities, when they come and get invited by someone who might be an investment banker at Bank of America, and they don't have to say, wow, man, I really do love your house. Why do you have quartz countertops and I have Formica, right? They will never say that in the Ascension community. So we're excited about that. And we're looking forward to establishing these great private public partnerships.
That's great. So you obviously have a lot to be proud of with everything you've accomplished. And I know it's a team effort. You have other people that are supporting you, holding you up for that. And that's great. What would you say is the thing in the last, year or two, pick time frame, whatever you want, of what you're most proud of?
Man, wow. I would say, I think what I'm most proud of is the relationships that I've been cultivating. And they're genuine, right? So the relationships that I'm cultivating, the friendships that I'm gaining in this industry, the people who are truly passionate and have a desire to see this through, right? The vision that God has given me, right? So I think that's what I'm most proud of, is that, so God has given me a vision, and then now he's setting me up with the people and bringing the right people around me to help me see it through.
Okay, good. I like that. In terms of, obviously, this is the Rebic podcast.
Yes.
Rebic's made up of, just as a reminder to the listener, the realtors, home builders, commercial folks, basically anybody involved in real estate in the Charlotte region. You and I, we've known each other for kind of off and on, maybe a little bit for the last couple of years, but we really kind of got to know each other a lot better in the last little while here. What can you tell our members and others that may be listening, kind of what role can we play? I mean, we care about the community at large. We care about meeting the supply needs that we have in terms of the residential side. We're always looking out for commercial as well. We have any tips for our members, or what things we can do to partner with you to kind of make your vision
Absolutely.
happen?
I mean, I think, things like, you and I have discussed, which is, being that advocate, helping be that voice, right? And just kind of like, being able to be a sounding block, right? So when ideas that come in my head or pop up in my head about what can we do to truly, either streamline this process, make it better, make it best in class, right? Who do we advocate with? Who do we advocate for, right? Being that sounding board, right? And just being able to bounce ideas and because I think one of the things that for me is that I want to be able to figure out, it's always been done one way, right? So you hear a lot about affordable housing, right? And a lot of it's being funded on the for rent side. But what can we do on the for sale side? You don't hear a lot of talks about that, right? So how, Ascension, KDP, Rebic, how we can partner and put our heads and minds together and resources together and figure out other avenues and think about in ways that it hasn't been done before, right? And not be shy about, what that could look like and how that can be done. Right. If I'm having certain obstacles dealing with, permitting or rezoning, how can we streamline that, or how can we expedite that? Right. Because the goal is not to make this process hard. It's already hard enough to try to make these deals work.
Right.
But whatever other helping hand that we can get along the way to make the process better, I think would be an awesome partnership that I'm looking forward to myself.
Good. Well, and in terms of the some of your relationships, because you have quite a vast network, as I've learned more and more recently. You have a good relationship with the banking community. What can we do with some of those folks to kind of bring them into the loop on this, and to maybe look at them providing different types of products that might make this vision work?
So that's a great question. And I am now, currently right now, I have a meeting coming up with Mr. McCall and a banker, and we are trying to figure out how can we partner with 4, 5, 6, 7 other large banks. And what we want to do is sort of like a social equity racial bond, right? So for this purpose and for this need, right? And how can we do something totally different that hasn't been done before? And instead of your traditional financing, right? How can we create a social impact, racial equity bond that can fund these type of projects, right? So, but it's going to take more than one bank, right? I truly believe it's just like raising a child. It takes a village, right? So I see the same for this, right? So it's going to be the U.S. banks. It's going to be the Truist. It's going to be the Allies, the Bank of Americas, the Wells Fargos, right? Coming together and saying, we truly believe in this vision and we want to see it happen. And this is a way to make it happen. So it's just those partnerships coming together and not saying, hey, we in competition, but no, this is our community. Charlotte's our community. And we all want to see this community go to another level.
Well, it sounds like you're on the right track to making it thrive. That's for sure. Let me ask you one other question in terms of the market. Where do you see the market going in terms of residential here over the next year or two? Do you have a sense for that?
Well, so I definitely have a thought, right? And I'm not omniscient, right? Only one.
You're not?
Is.
Okay.
No, not omniscient, but
yes, sir. You're correct.
But I definitely have a thought. So for me, I've been doing real estate for 23 years. I'm very passionate about this, and I just personally feel like the market is still hot, right? Interest rates are going crazy, right? And what's making it hard right now on the residential side, so a couple of things I feel like is making it harder on the residential side. So you have a lot of these private equity firms coming in and buying up all this real estate, right? So they buying up neighborhoods, they buying up, houses, single family homes. So the individuals who just wants a $300,000 or $400,000 home is getting harder and harder and harder and harder for them to find a home, right? So you have that on one hand, you have interest rates on another hand, right? But even with all of that, the supply is very low, right? So I think in the next 2 years that the demand is going to only increase. Mm-hmm. I do believe I was a bonds trader, right? So we looked at economics a lot and economy a lot and what the Fed was thinking and try to predict what the Fed might do next, right? And I'm not going to do that on this on your podcast. But
okay, all right.
I do think that we're going to see now are we going to get rates back into the 2-3%? No, I do think that, and this is just a prediction, James Scruggs' prediction, but late 2024, early 2025, I do think that rates are going to go back down. And I think when we see that, we're going to see even more of a frenzy on the residential, and you're going to see even more people trying to get into the residential space because they want to take advantage of those low interest rates.
And you think that's like 4 or 5%, something like that? Or
so great question. So I'm gonna be a little bit more conservative, and I'm gonna go in the 5s. Okay. I'm gonna stay in the 5s. I don't know if we're gonna get to the 4s, but I'm gonna stay in the 5s.
Okay. Wow. I mean, you heard it all here today. You heard about the vision. You heard about the predictions. What does James not do?
Oh, sleep.
Well, that's true. We did talk about that. Although he does go to bed kind of early, and I'm kind of in.
But I get up early too. No, I'm just
yeah, you do. No, it's a good lifestyle. I love it. Well, is there anything today we didn't cover, James, that you wish that we had? Or
no, I mean, if you want to talk more about how what you can see, I mean, I kind of talked a little bit about how Rebic and KDP and Ascension can be, just amazing partners, mm-hmm. if you will. But is there anything, I think, in your eyes that you felt like I missed where, that we can partner together to make this vision, and to better what we're trying to do with mixed income for sales for this community, through a partnership, together?
Yeah, I think a lot of the things that you touched on, like timelines for development, the financing, I think you've kind of got that pretty well covered with your contacts in terms of the timelines. Been in contact with Allison and Craig at the city frequently, who I think does, and she's been on this podcast before and talked about her passion for housing affordability or attainability. And so we're working on some things to try to speed that process, which I think you'll like when we get to that point, and we like your participation in that as well. That along with sort of looking at the regulatory framework, we've talked a little bit about adaptive reuse and kind of how that plays in terms of achieving additional units for the market. So yeah, I think there's a lot of things that we've already started on, and I think we just go from there. So
awesome!
Appreciate your being in today.
Appreciate you for having me.
Little frog in the throat there.
Appreciate you having me.
Oh, absolutely. I hope this is the beginning of several of these, actually, because you're a fun guest to have. And well, James Scruggs, founder of Kingdom Development, thank you so much for being in today, and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you so much, Rob.
Take care.
Thank you for listening to Getting Real with Rob. This podcast is produced by the Real Estate and Building Industry Coalition in Charlotte, North Carolina. Learn more about us at rebic.com. That's REBIC.com. bic.com. We'll talk to you next time.